Okay, so really briefly, I don't want to be a whiner, but in my last video I did the pencil test for this shot, and while I was offline I inked it and had a shot that pretty much amounted to this. And okay, then I didn't do anything unusual. I just closed the file, and when I opened OpenToonz later, all of the images were gone. So I looked in the folder that would correspond to it, which was, okay, so here's the project. In the drawings folder, OpenToonz creates a folder for each scene. And so I went to 93B, and what I found was that the TLV files, if you dragged and dropped them into OpenToonz, in fact I'll just do it because this is an almost 4 megabyte file, and is okay. So now this is strange. Okay, this is really strange. When I would drag the TLV files into OpenToonz, they would not open. They were showing as having no drawings. It's completely gone. So what I had to do was I took the backups. That's why I switched to this screen so you could see. Whenever you save a TLV file, like right here, D2 TLV back. Okay. OpenToonz saves a backup. So what I did was I renamed the backup files. There was no D2 previously. There was just D TLV and then D TLV dot BAK. Like here you have the template or the palette, which is TPL dot BAK. So anyway, what I did was I took the back file, the .BAK file, renamed it D2.TLV, kind of like this. Okay, renamed it like that. And then I was able to drag the backups into the scene and just remap the timing. So it didn't take very long, but just bizarre. I have no idea why that would have happened, but I'm glad it was fixable. So we'll leave it at that for the moment. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to deal with shadows, and we need to deal with inking the mouth shapes. Alright, so I'm just going to hit the B key, boom, and I'm going to immediately hit Save All. Okay, and if I look at the level settings, so if I go to level settings and look at it, this is OpenToonz named it for me, okay? So now in this folder we can see that there's a ETLV and an ETPL. So this is the level. This is a file that corresponds to the level. This is the level. This is the file that once you draw a bunch of pictures and add a bunch of frames, this one will get bigger and bigger and bigger. This is the file you could email to your friend if you wanted to share a self-contained level file so that they can drag it into OpenToonz and be able to, you know, recreate or work on what you were working on. The TPL file again is the palette. So right now it's a very simple palette. Obviously there's only 2 colors, but so anyway, I just kind of wanted to explain what those are, kind of what can go wrong. Again, the good news is that if everything goes south, it is fixable. And you can see part of what went wrong is evidenced here, because when I renamed the stuff and brought in the backup, it actually brought in like a default palette or something with a zillion colors, even though the actual palette for the level only had a couple. So again, no big deal. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and match these mouth shapes. Send it to the ink and paint department, in other words. Okay, and now I'm going to do a little touch up here. Make it pretty. And here we've got, I will say that, okay, I need to check something. Okay, this is one of those things you won't think about until it bites you in the butt. Yeah, see what's going on here. Okay, so these two frames will have to be redrawn, but the mistake I just made, it's an easy mistake to make. Because column C has this animation data, so when she leans in, there's no drawings for that. That's just the animation tool. So her body and her mouth, the pencil test of her mouth, are being fed through that animation data, which is in column C. Well, I need to make sure that the real mouth, the inked version, is also going through there. Okay, so that things are where they're supposed to be. Now I can fix it in this case by just dragging this around. Hello? Actually, you know what? I better not do that, because if I do that, I'm going to have to size it and try to get it perfect. So, yeah. So if you're going to draw over a level that's been modified by the animation tool or the plastic tool or whatever, you want to make sure any additional columns or levels that you're going to be drawing over that need to work together with it, that they are fed through the same controller level. You can see these keys right here. These are the animation keys of her body leaning in. There's a little bit of shearing and a little bit of rotation. So anyway, there it is. It's because this is now going through the animation data, everything's going to move the way we expect. So started looking at TV Paint a bit. You know, if you want an animation software solution that has some street cred, in other words, it's being used for anime, with some studios in Japan and that sort of thing, TV Paint and Clip Studio are both reasonable options. The only reason to look at them, in my opinion, is days like today, where you see the open source tools can sometimes let you down when it comes to reliability. I'm not saying that OpenToonz is, worthy of being nixed. Not saying that. Just saying that the more serious a person were to get about their animation activities, career, whatever you want to say, the more likely you're going to bump into the inclination to look at more quote-unquote professional tools. It happens. So here what we're going to do is, let's go ahead and just fill these black. That needs to be teeth. This kind of needs to be both, actually. Why don't we run it this way? Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing here. Give her a little bit of tooth action, then fill the rest. And we'll see how we like it. I think I'll put a little bit of an indicator there for the... Definitely need it there. Okay, so cool. So we do need another color. If you're wondering why I'm not using color 0, it's because... I should know this, but color 0 is kind of special. And I believe actually registers as transparent, although that may be changeable. Let's see. Yeah, see, in fact, this is another weird thing probably that has something to do with the boogering of the OpenToonz file, because according to this, color 0 has no style selected, which is weird because this is a new level I created in this session. This isn't part of a holdover from before. Now if I look at color 0, see it says no valid style selected. So essentially color 0 is for nullifying a color that was already there. I really just, I don't use it because see, I'm hitting the fill tool. Actually, let's go here, grab color 0 and see what happens. Yeah, so it just registers it as transparent. It turns it, it's essentially like a quick erase, really, is what it is. So, which is kind of useful, Okay, Okay, so let's, oh, I already got her teeth there. Gotta get the teeth there. That should really be black. And then here I baked the mouth into the turn of the head. So now what we want to do is make sure that the eyes are actually, hello? There's the eye, or not the eye color, the teeth color. Ugh. I'm losing my mind here. I'm absolutely losing my mind. So I want to add just a little kiss of gray. Okay, so now having done that, there's no reason to keep that around. And one thing you can do to keep your files clean is open up the scene cast view, which I can't remember if that's a window or a view. Scene cast right there. So it's a window. Okay, so you go remove all unused levels and it just gets rid of the chaff. You save, and significantly all the old levels are still in the folder. They don't get discarded. It's just that OpenToonz is no longer referring to them. So that way if you needed to get something back, you could. So anywho, that gives us a good point from which to deal with what? Shadows. So what I'm going to do here, I need to look back at the story. Okay. Yes. Okay, so what we have is this shot right here was re-envisioned as this shot right here. Okay. And actually, frankly, what I might do is go like this and then put in a camera move and pan over to this action that's going on. That would actually make a nice shot to go ahead and do that as opposed to a cut. But either way, we need the shadows. So what do we have going on here? Well, the window is essentially over here. So that means this is where any light is coming from. So what we're going to do for the shadows is this. I'm just going to go hit the B key and I'm just going to go like this. Oh, you know what? Stop. Same situation as before. The shadows need to pipe into the animation tool. I caught it this time, didn't I? I caught it this time. You didn't get me. OpenToonz. Yeah, you tried to get me, but you didn't get me. Okay. So we're just going to kind of play it like this and fill that, and then we'll make the opacity of it something like that. And then the question you're asking is, well, wait a minute, what about this overlap here? What we're going to do is we're going to go to the FX schematic, because you really have two schematics in OpenToonz, the stage and the effects. So essentially the stage is the structure of all your levels and how they interact together, and effects are for basically post-production. So what we want to do is we want to take column 4, which is the shadow, and we want to add a layer blending INO multiply. Okay, the foreground will be the shadow, the background will be Akari. Okay, and why is that useful? Because by default, the multiply INO filter or plugin, whatever you want to call it, uses this, which is called clipping mask. Clipping mask, when it's turned on, which it is by default because the builders of OpenToonz know that you're probably going to use this for this specific reason, when you render, the shadow is clamped or clipped to the drawing that it's connected to, like so. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to just go ahead and darken that a little bit. Okay, so now with that, the shadow moves with her, so technically there's no reason to tweak it. You could make a case for the idea that if she's moving around, the shadow would move too, but we're going to keep it simple. So what I want to see here is, I think right here it might be good to let's just hit the, let's do this as simply as possible. So let's hit the S key. And actually, okay, stop. Problem is we need to have a duplicate drawing here. So otherwise it's trying to modify the previous drawing. So now what I'm going to do is just grab this and stretch that up a little bit. And I think probably like that too. Okay, yeah. And then here we'll just hit the Q key to bring it back to frame 1. And then let's see what we have here. Okay, I think what we're going to do is we're going to stick on frame 1. Where does she turn her head? Yeah, she turns her head here. So here, we need to just kind of get rid of all this, actually. So here, probably should be a duplicate. Yeah, but let's use the selection tool to just make a slight modification. Like so. Stretch this out a little bit. Let's see how that feels. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, and then the question is, will it work here? And no, it will not. So we're going to stretch that out to there, and then here again we're going to make a duplicate. And there's more than one way to skin that cat, but I'm just choosing to use the selection tool in this way, just because it works pretty well. I'm hitting Control, by the way, on my with my left hand. I'm hitting Control while I move these little nodes, and that causes the them to be able to move independently as opposed to just resizing the square, so to speak. So obviously you can see that the shape of it's distorted now. The one thing I do want to tweak though is, well, actually in this case, let's just do it like this. Let's just go like that and fill that. That takes care of that. So now only question is, yeah, I mean you want the bleed around her hair, so I guess that looks pretty good actually. Let's go ahead and run it once. Let it preview. Make sure we're happy with the motion. Kind of wondering why we're not seeing her mouth. I know why we're not seeing her mouth. I'll get to that here in half a second. So, yeah, nice action. Most of it's on 3s. I see one little issue. There was one issue here. Do you see it? I see it. Boom. Ah, that didn't work. Okay. Okay, so we can see that we had some bleed. Weren't paying attention very well on the inking, it would appear. So let's go ahead and fix that. Let's just do some erasing here. Okay. Hit the B key and just get a nice clean line there. Okay. Now we can cause that to empty out and fill that back in. So that looks cool. Okay, so now the question is, when we render, why does the mouth disappear? And the mouth disappears again because of this situation. What we need to do is we need to include the mouth in this situation. The way we do that is we go layer blending over, and then feed this into here, and so this into here. So all we're doing is combining the mouth and the head in one piece, and now as you can see the mouth renders. So that only comes up when you add post-production effects. Otherwise mostly things appear in the render the same way they do in the viewport, as expected. So okay, so yeah, there's a very strong case to be made for the idea of actually doing a pan over and revealing. Actually, what it would be a 3D move. Let's consider how we would do that. Alright, I'm going to save my work. Okay. The next thing we're going to see, this is actually going to be an interesting challenge, so let's have some fun with this. This was, I believe, done in OpenToonz. And but 094, so I assume that would be scene number 94. Let's take a look at 94 to see if it's even round and how it might be worked with. It looks like it's not, so that means if I'm going to access it, it's probably going to be here. So let's just kind of see how this goes. Okay, yes, there's this old shot, and then here's this. Okay, cool. So what we actually want to do, if we can, it'd be really super cool if we could, is grab this, starting here, here, and then he has, obviously the backgrounds are out of sync and stuff. That's no big deal. But okay, so it starts here. And to keep things simple for myself, I'm going to just take the sketch out. So what we have is the background, which needs to extend to here. Yes. Okay, there's the shadows. So this appears to need to extend to here. That doesn't look like the correct shadow, does it? Hard to say. But then he sort of lurches forward. Okay, so this is the ink layer. Okay. Oh wait, I'm looking at the cast shadow, no wonder. It's the body shadow that's problematic. Okay, so we're starting here, and this is right. Is that right? No. This would seem to be, I wonder, that doesn't actually seem like it belongs at all. Because, let's just move this up and see what happens. No, that's not it either. I'm having a dyslexia moment for sure. I wonder, let's live with that one for the moment. Yeah, let's live with that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get crazy here. We're going to get crazy. We're going to do some radical deletion and then resave this. Okay, so let's go to the X sheet view so we can keep this under control a little bit. Okay, I hit shift and it didn't select them like you expected it to. Did it? No, it did not. Okay. Let's get rid of that level. Get rid of that level. And now let's go like that. And then in the scene cast window that we talked about earlier, that's kind of weird. Okay, it got rid of everything. So now what we want to do is save this as 94, was it? Yeah, let's save this as 94. Hopefully this will work. Save scene as 0094. Okay, now that it's saved as 94, if I hit save all, one can only hope that if I jump back over here, we should now have a folder for 0094. Okay, so now I'm a little confused because I don't see a folder for 0094. Why would that be? Else anime. We probably, okay, I know why. We have a scene file. 0094, there it is. Okay, so we just created that. So now the problem we have, and it's a tricky one, because what we're trying to do now is we're trying to take two scenes and merge them, in essence. It's probably going to be ugly. There's probably going to be some crashes involved. But let's give it a try. First of all, can we cut and paste between multiple instances of OpenToonz? That's a fair question. I'm pretty sure the answer is no. But let's find out. So I'm opening up OpenToonz in another window, and I'm grabbing this, and it keeps wanting to retain the old. Let me close this and reopen it. It keeps wanting to retain the old screen layout, even though I keep changing it and resaving the scene. Every time I open this scene, it opens in maximized view. Let's see if it does it again. It didn't. Good. Okay. Okay, so now the question, which is utterly insane to even ask, is can we grab all this, hit Control C, and paste them over here? I'm sure we can't, but what the heck? There's nothing to paste. Okay. So there is another way. There is another way. We're going to try. What we're going to do is we're going to grab 0094 and just drag it in here, and I think it will be loaded as a sub-X sheet. Okay. And actually, since we're going to do that, let's do it down here, which is kind of where we would want to, because after she turns, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. After she turns, we're going to be panning over. So let's just slap it here and see what happens. And then what we'll do, if it works, load it, keep the sub, actually apply the current scene camera settings. I don't know. Let's try. Okay, that worked. Now we can explode the sub-X sheet, which brought all these back up here. Okay, so this was useful. Okay, so now what we're doing is we're going to grab these guys and we'll drag. Okay, trying to keep my temper here, folks. All right, I guess we need to grab like that. Okay, fine. So we'll grab it down here and we'll move them over like that. And save all. Okay, so now what we have is a strange situation that I want you to think about, because this is going to bite you later, which is that, and by the way, I think this guy had been animated with a plastic tool, so we can recreate that very quickly. That's no big deal. What's going on right now is we have an OpenToonz scene file where literally all of the levels are not saved where we kind of sort of want them to, which would be in the drawings folder under 009, 0093B. We see all these levels, but if we go back here and we look at the level settings, what do we have? C1. Okay, so this is C1. And I'm looking over in the folder and there is no C1 there. F1. Okay, so there's basically no correlation between these levels that are stored somewhere on the hard drive and the levels we have here. What we could do if we want to play it safe is do cloning, which is level, where's clone? Actually, it's under the cells menu. If we clone it, okay, now that's interesting. Okay, that's actually very interesting. It's complaining that cclone.tiff already exists, which means that it is wanting to save it in a different location than the native location of the drawings. Of course, this is not. It's kind of unfair for. Let me do this one, because I'm looking at the TLV levels. That's what gets stored in the drawings folder, and actually this is the only one that isn't a TLV level because it's just a painting. So let's try this one. Cells clone, and we'll call that fclone. And it says it already exists. So, in other words, OpenToonz behind the scenes file management is kind of insisting on saving these cloned levels in the same location as the original levels. So really the only thing I can do, if I want to trust OpenToonz not to screw up my file management and let it just do what it does behind the scenes, I might be okay. If I don't trust OpenToonz in that regard, and I kind of don't after what happened earlier today, I am going to take my chances. I've kind of just made my decision. I'll take my chances on this one. But if you wanted to play it safe, this is what you would do. You'd open up the level settings, you'd go to each level, and you'd look at this. You'd say, okay, this is in the drawings battle back half. So that's where this FLTLV file is. Okay, so now that's interesting. Because, and again, here's the problem I'm going to have too. I don't know. Let's give this a try. So now we know where it is. Okay, so let's go in here, drawings, and it's in the battle back half, and it was f.tlv. So there it is, and it's a big file, which means that it probably contains. Let me just double check here, folks. I'm going to go double check. I was looking at the. I think I was looking at the cast shadow level. So just to be safe here. Okay, so it's a TLV. Okay, fine. That makes sense. It tells us right here in the cell, so don't be stupid, Dave. Okay, so a TLV. So over in my other screen, I'm going to grab a.tlv, and we see that it's a 58 megabyte file. Right here. So, good news, bad news. The bad news is that if I drag this in here and load it, it's going to load all that stuff. And so the good news about that is that I still have all this. No problem. It's still saved on my hard drive. But obviously I'm going to have to fish through all the frames to find these. So for my purposes, I'm thinking it makes a little more sense at this exact moment to just trust OpenToonz to do what it does. However, if I'm going to do that, I need to find out that if there's going to be bad news, I want to find out what the bad news is as fast as possible. So I'm closing OpenToonz. I'm going to reopen the 93B scene. See if everything comes in as expected. And it did. Cool. So now the question becomes, well, actually, let's stay on the X sheet view. That's kind of useful. Now the question becomes, what other kind of problems are we going to run into? She doesn't have a background behind her, and when it goes over to this guy, we're going to have this situation. The truth of the matter is, we can make this work, but it's going to be tricky. Because what we're going to have to do is, and actually, you know what? I'm going to do a shout out right now to this guy. If you're not subscribed to this guy, you should be. I believe it's Ed Tado. Ed Tadeo. Yeah, Ed's doing some pretty cool animation in Krita, and I just want to mention him because what he's done in several shots that have been quite well done is what I'm talking about. We're going to have to do here. What we're going to have to do is map out the camera move and then construct a background painting behind all of this so that we can pan from Akari in 3D space back to where this guy is and have his background look correct as well. So that's going to be tricky. I'm actually I'm thinking this through and thinking this is actually going to be really tricky. Step one, I'm going to get rid of that background entirely, and I'm going to get rid of the cast shadow. The cast shadow is not helping me. Alright. I'm going to hit the insert key just to insert an extra level here, just to keep things kind of sort of clean. I'm going to save all, but actually before I save all, what I really should do is again go to my scene cast and remove all unused levels. Okay? So now we only have the levels that we want, and we should have a fairly clean OpenToonz scene file going on at this point. Okay. So now, here's why it's going to get tricky. The only way we're really going to be able to do this and make it work and plan it out is to go into 3D space, and we're going to do a camera move. So we're going to want to start with the camera where it is, and then we're going to make a 3D move to go find this stuff. Okay, so there's a few things I want to do here. This is not trivial. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually just hit the B key and create a level here. And now I'm going to jump into the schematic view. And by the way, I sort of reserve the right to have all of this not work or become so frustrating that I have to bail on the concept. But for now, we're going to give this a try. So let's ungroup these guys, get rid of this peg, and what we want to do is actually run all these levels into here. Now, we've got the, oh, background. Hold on a second. Why is that labeled background? That should be Ninja 2. And then we've got cast shadow, we've got ink. Okay, let me check something here. I'm going to just move this up in the other screen. Because actually, okay, yeah, that's, so what is this level? What the heck is this level? This level appears to be nothing. Gone. And then again, just to be safe, remove unused levels. Just keeps things clean. Keeps things clean. Okay, so now, okay, yeah, we got to turn these guys on. Okay, so now in the schematic view, I wonder if we have a view here that probably the animation view is what we probably want. Okay. So now, because these two are linked to this level, what that means is that here I can animate with the Animate Tool. I can move this guy back in Z space. Okay, something is going radically wrong here. So I'm going to hit undo. Let's go back to basics. The problem is, okay, this is kind of stuff that just drives me up the wall. In the XSheet view, we don't happen to have the menu. So, I don't know if that makes sense, but so we've got a hold of column 6, and we need to come down here, and we need to hit the Animate tool, and we're going to animate its position. And we have to do it in 3D space, which means we need, actually, okay, we don't need to do it in 3D space, actually. What we can do is just hit the control key and draggy, draggy, draggy. Okay, and then I'm also going to kind of move him over here. Okay, so now if we look at it in 3D, you can see what's going on. Now, we're going to take Akari's levels, and we're going to just stretch these down. I don't even know how far we want to go. And in order to keep this sane, we're going to actually do the same thing here. We're going to drag this up, and then this first, shoot. Okay. So what we want to do is take these two and drag them down. Okay, so what did that do for us? Now, here's our situation. See? That's what we wanted. How do we rotate this around, by the way? Can't remember. There's a way, there's a hotkey. I do this so rarely that I don't remember, but there's a hotkey to move this around. So now what we have to do is figure out the timing. Let's go back here and just do it by feel. Alright, so Akari reacts. Oh, sorry, I need to hit the L key. Boom. Okay, yes. Let's do that again. Boom. Okay, we'll start it here. Let's start it on 72. We can always change the positioning. So now it gets a little more complicated because we want to now move the camera in 3D space. But we don't want to animate the camera directly for the same reason that we created this column here to control the ninja. What we want to do is add yet another column that's going to be a parent to the camera so that we've got visual access to the animation data. Alright, so we're going to use column 5 for that. And all we have to do again is hit the B key, and now column 5 exists. And the camera is going to be parented to column 5. Now when we make any animation adjustments to column 5, the camera will be affected. So now let's go to the camera view, and actually it might be easier to do it this way. Well, let's give this a crack. The first thing we want to do is hit the Animate Tool and just, let's not even move anything, let's just insert a key. Okay, so now it did it, it inserted a key there, and then we want to definitely on 72, we want to have the same exact key. In fact, to make it pretty, we'll put it on 73, just because they're nice little 6-frame blocks. Now what we have to do is going to be kind of fun and interesting, which is on column 90, whoops, we're going to carefully pan over. Oh, this is an insane move I'm trying to do here. And now I'm going to hit the control key. Well, actually, I really need to center this guy. So, just really carefully. Now I'm going to move the camera. And again, up. Everything's kind of in reverse. Let's go to this view and see if that helps. Yeet. Okay, why did it flip it upside down? That's kind of weird. I'm not even going to try to figure that one out. I'm just going to live with it and just... Okay. So, of course, this is going to be the trickiest, most difficult move I've ever had to do. And by the way, I'm going to actually move the camera back a little bit. Now, the question is, why is this fighting me? I really don't understand what's going on here. It could be there's a sensible explanation for it, but it looks to me like OpenToonz is under the hood. It appears that OpenToonz is really, really, really confused, and that's a little frustrating, but it's what we have to work with. So now we can see that at least we have our basic shot concept does seem to be working. So I'm just going to give him a half a second, and then probably do this on 3s. Yes. And then let's stretch this out to, like, you know, quite a ways further, just so we have plenty of room to animate it. Now the thing I'm seeing here is I'm feeling like it's too close. Yes, okay. Yes, it's too close. Now remember, because he's jumping up. Come on, OpenToonz. Why do you have to be so stupid when it matters the most? I swear, it drives me bananas. Is it because there's this key here? Maybe. So what I'm saying is, let's just do 2 camera moves. That's fine. We'll put an additional move here because... OMG. OMG. Okay, we'll do it this way. Let's insert a key. And then this is -100. Let's go -120 and see where that puts it. Okay, we wanted the opposite, so that's fine. Let's actually go about -70. Okay. So by doing it numerically, yes. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to take this and drag this up here. And now I've gotten to the result I was actually after in the first place. Okay. So now we'll go down here and set our end frame, stop marker there, and look at the whole thing. Not bad. Okay. Now there is a problem. There's actually a couple issues here. First thing is that in the show, okay, I thought I wanted to have that frame where he leaps, he kind of pushes forward, but that's okay. That's fine. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do plastic tool. So once he gets up here, he's got to be, I guess, trembling, you might say. Obviously, we're going to have to fix the shadow layer. That's fine. But let's go ahead and create a mesh for this guy. We don't need it to be that fine. It's going to be performance prohibitive. And we'll let OpenToonz kind of figure out how it wants to do things. We'll stretch this down here, and now let's build a skeleton for this guy. All right. So let's keep it kind of simple. Usually I give a couple nodes to sort of give myself more ability to control the movement. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think up here I probably want to just go. See, we're gonna have to protect his hair. So let's go like this. Boom, 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 boom. We'll see how it works. So I think here we're gonna also want to go like this. This is something you learn to do with the plastic tool, because what it does is it makes it so that with these extra nodes here, when I animate this, it's not gonna cause his hair to wiggle and stuff like that. So it lets you isolate the pieces, the parts better. Okay, so now I'm going to animate, and what I'm going to do is insert a key, and then on 3s, okay, that doesn't work. Sorry. Build skeleton. Let's go back here. This really needs to be the complete opposite, because remember, we're anchoring his hands. His hands are what need to not move. So this node can be deleted. And then probably, if you really want to play it safe, probably go like that. Okay, so now let's do the same thing over here. And I'm going to leave that one in there just in case. Okay, so now, yeah, that's okay. That's okay. So now I'm going to just, let's see, from here to here we did nothing, so okay, I'm going to change this again. I want a little more control over his arms, so I'm going to actually put in 2 nodes. And this one, I may regret this, but I'm going to go like that. The cool thing is you can go back after the fact and make these modifications. That works. Over here. Yep. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my start and stop markers here, so that on 3s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, I guess we want to stop there. So now let's just see what it's doing. Okay, seems like too much motion to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Control C and Control V. Okay, so now these 2 keys are exactly the same, and let's just make it just a little bit of motion. Like that. Alright, let's see if that's better. Yes. That is better. Probably this one's a little aggressive. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so now, let's just see. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Just want a little bit more motion. Okay, so now obviously you're thinking, well, wait, Dave, wouldn't his hair move a little bit if that sort of thing was going on? That's not too bad. Now I'm going to put it on twos because this is one of those cases where you kind of want things to animate a little faster. So he's going to go. I think that's what we want. Yeah, I like it better than the original because the original his head didn't move. So great, we've improved it. Okay, so now what we need to do is go here. And by the way, save all. Save early, save often. So now as you can see, we've got this mapped through the plastic tool. Well, guess what? His shadow needs to be mapped through the plastic tool as well. Except that's going to cause a problem, which we need to address right now. So what I'm going to do is actually take these two levels and make them so they're not going through the plastic tool, because one of the little idiosyncrasies of the plastic tool, and I'm going to hide the mesh by the way, is that once the plastic tool is applied to a level, you can no longer draw in the level. You can draw directly on the drawings themselves, like, and why you can't see them I have no idea, but you can't draw in here. So what that means is we need to make any corrections to the shadows first, and obviously we got a major correction situation right here. Okay, so let's fix it. I'm not sure what the heck was going on here, so I'm just going to delete it. Let's look at this one. Boy, we got some fixing on the ink to do as well, don't we? So let's again go. Oh wait, that's not going to work. Yeah, he moves enough there that I think we can just draw the whole new thing. Now is this overlapped and filtered? Let's see if it's filtered. It's not filtered. Okay, so we're going to have to add the multiply as well, like we did on the other level. Okay, so he's going to be, actually, I'm going to really get aggressive here because frankly this guy's going to be mostly in shadow. There we go. That's all we need. And now we can map it back through the plastic tool. And essentially the only other thing we really need to do is the same thing we did here. Okay, let's ungroup this, by the way. And now we're going to need to get a little bit organized. So here's Ninja 2. And here's Cast Shadow. And so Cast Shadow is going to be multiply, with the foreground being, or I'm sorry, the background actually being Ninja 2. And now the shadow should be clamped, and it is. And so now all we need to do is deal with the background. By the way, let's turn that back on. Okay, so now let's just, okay, we have to reset our start marker here. And we'll set our end marker. Let's do it here. Okay, so now that presents another issue, which is that we want to take these two, copy, 1, 2, V, oh, that didn't work. So I guess you have to actually manually go to the right spot. fine. Fine, fine, fine. You know, the presumption here is that we will probably be stopping this edit before the stop point, but I don't know if that makes sense. Okay. K key. And let's see what we have. How long have we been going? Almost an hour. Not bad. Now we need to clean up Mr. Ninja's ink, which is absolutely... Oh my gosh. Can you possibly get any worse than the job I did there? Okay. So now we see him here. So let's go to this drawing directly. See what we've got here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the G key, which probably in your version of OpenToonz it's probably the K key. I've remapped some hotkeys. But now what I'm going to do is just use the paintbrush tool, not the brush, the paint brush, to just paint in some fixes here. And we really need to make this. Actually, I don't want to do that. Yeah, this is a really tricky situation because the background image is both in front of and behind him at the same time. You understand what I'm saying? Because his hands are over top of it, but his body and face isn't. Truth of the matter is, the guy should probably... I should probably clone the level and split it into 2 levels, but... let's kind of deal with one crisis at a time. One crisis at a time, people. One crisis at a time. So this scene was, or this shot with the ninja coming in the window was done quite a long time ago. Okay, so now let me just kind of see if things are kind of sort of working. Yeah, that works. It looks really good, in fact. So now you say, well, Dave, okay, but why? Why, Dave, did you do it this way? And this I find extremely confusing, but I'm sure there's a perfectly reasonable explanation for it. Why OpenToonz is... This is actually, this right here is what I wanted to see. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go like this. Okay, guys. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to, okay, so this is, we know we're clamped to the camera, so what I'm going to do is go Alt, print screen. Why? Well, because we're going to do the background painting in Krita. Definitely. Am I insane to continue on this? Or should I be continuing this in another session? We will see, but let's go New, paste it from the clipboard. Okay, so now what we have to do is, to get the resolution we need to take the image, and we need to, I don't want to resize the canvas, I want to scale it. Alright, and let's just go big. Let's go big or go home, right? The final resolution when we get to here needs to be at least 1280, so I think we're okay. So now this is going to be File, Save As. Wait a second. Okay, no, that's correct. Okay, so this is going to be L, Anime, Val's Anime, Krita, and this is 0093B, background. And we are probably going to have to go ahead and split Mr. Ninja into 2 levels, but that's okay. We know how to do that. We'll clone the level. What we'll do is we'll take this we'll take this level and we will clone it so that we can take and cut his hands off. Anything that's got to be over top of the background, we'll put in the new level. We'll erase everything that's supposed to be behind the background. Hope that makes sense. It's a tricky thing, you know. It's a tricky thing. Now, for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to go like this. I'm just going to do a really crude. Okay, fine, yeah, be that way. Really crude. Doesn't have to be perfect. I just need to get these guys mostly out of the joint so that we can then paint behind it and have some sort of reference for where our characters are. Okay, now I tell you, this is actually going to be a really interesting and fun challenge. I probably should consider using Krita's perspective drawing tools, but I don't even know how to use them. I've never spent any time with them at all, so I think I'm going to just roll my own. So the way I'm going to roll my own is I'm going to do a red layer. I'm going to say, well, okay, that's not what I want. I wanted the B key. Okay, so I know we've got the window here. Let's work from the known to the unknown. We've got the window here, and we're going to be panning from, you know, something like this over to this. All right. So probably the sensible thing is to just paint it based on where we're going to end up. Because for the most part, it could be argued that everything showing up back here is going to be pretty much out of focus for Akari anyway. Okay. So with that, I'm going to put another layer below, and I'm going to save my work. Save early, save often. And the first thing I'm going to do is just fill it with black. So let's solo the layer so we can just fill it with black. Flood fill. Okay? And so with that having been done, now let's use, I want kind of an oil paint type brush, I think, for this. So let's go here to some of these nicely accelerated, or, you know, yeah. So let's go, that needs to be fairly dark and fairly dark and fairly unsaturated. Okay, so I just want to get the basic color scheme of the wooden floor. Okay, as I recall, there was a little bit of a tint of blue or purple back here, not much, and we're not going to see much of this at all, so let's just keep this pretty dark. And now, before we fill in any of these details around Mr. Ninja, what we'll do is we'll defocus the background. So I'm going to grab this color again, and what I want to do now is just work some floorboards into this. Okay, now if we go back to the original, you can see the level of detail once it gets zoomed in on Mr. Ninja is pretty high. The level, and frankly, we can see what the framing's going to be. The framing's going to be about like that. Okay, so that means that just for this area, we need to be a little pickier about those floorboards. Okay, so I think I'm gonna turn the guide layer back off now, and then let's just let's turn the opacity of this paint way down. So once we get away from Mr. Ninja, the level of detail doesn't matter. Now I don't want to go too far here. Why? Well, because at this point now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sample this, put in a couple bits of kind of noise, just a little bit of noise that will act as a bit of a compositional aid to frame her in, kind of thing. Let's turn that way down. Okay, that's not what I wanted. I'm getting too much of a smear effect. I really don't want that. Let's just grab a different brush and see what happens. That's fine. Okay. Let's just erase that. That's not what I wanted to do. Yes, that's more like what I was trying to do. So I don't know, I'm using some kind of pastel type brush, actually. Okay. And let's just kind of go over this a few times and make it a little denser. Okay. Yeah, because it's just going to be a blurred background behind her. The only time we see the detail is once we get down here. So now let's do a blur, a lens blur. Pretty aggressive. Let's do 35, not 356. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and commit to that. File, save. Okay. So now I can go in here and let's just kind of draw back in the level of detail we had. No big deal. Probably want to go more opaque at the moment because we're going to want to get the background, the outdoors happening. Okay, so okay, question. Oh, I see. Yeah, obviously we gotta paint. I mean, if our character is covering up what we're painting, obviously we can't see what we're painting. So now, okay. Yeah, you could argue that I could have used a mask to protect part of the area from the focal blur, but that's okay. I mean, we're all just kind of having fun here anyway, right? So I'm going to keep this a little bit subtle. We'll tighten that up here shortly. Okay, a little more opaque, and a little more dark. Yes, there we go. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, now let's get this down pretty small and start catching some detail. Okay, the first thing I want to do, actually, let me find a, I don't know, let me go to my faves. Oh, I think I want actually this. Okay. That works. Okay, so now we take this, go a little bit lighter on it. And actually, let's get a little bit more of a mouse hole here. Whoops, that was too much. In here. Okay. So it's kind of cool how you can take a very blurry, non-detailed thing, and if you just put in a little bit of detail, over top of it, it just pops. And that looks pretty good. I'm going to turn my opacity way down again so I can just subtly add in some glints of detail. Okay, that isn't cool. We want to be a little more meticulous. Okay, so now, as long as we're thinking about it, which I am, one thing that would be going on here is you would have we'll just go all the way across. Oh, okay. I guess that's not going to work. Let's just go across like that. Doggone it. Okay. Okay. Now what I wanted to do here is let's add another layer and just fill it with black. So I'm going to solo that, fill, and unsolo it so I can then turn this way down. Okay, so remember, the only time these details are going to matter is when we get right down close to Mr. Ninja. Till then, we won't even see it. And again, I may get close to the end line here and find out it's not working as well as I thought it was. My phone's just like literally blowing up. It's all just, there's like a family discussion going on. So, I think we're pretty close here. I know why I was having issues a minute ago. I was painting into the wrong layer. A classic amateur mistake. Classic. Which I've done a million times. Whoops. Okay. Now, let's look at this framing. Gosh, all we see is about this far. So, I think what I'm going to do is just take the airbrush and, yeah, just kind of do the same thing here. I'm just going to just a little bit of suggestion of illumination behind him. I think that's going to do the trick. Well, let's find out. File, save as, and what we're going to do is, I guess we want to go Val's Anime, Image, Backgrounds, and this is going to be, let's just do it as a JPEG. And there it is. Let's make it 100% because we do want to keep the quality up. And let's just see if it works, you know. Okay. What I'm going to say we want to do is let's insert a level. Now let's go, and I am just going into the folder I just saved this in. Backgrounds. And drag this in. Let's just load it. Okay, fine. Okay, and now let's go to the 3D view. And what we must do is we have to move this to where it's behind Mr. Ninja Guy. And then we'll evaluate if we've got to scale it more. Scale it up, scale it down, whatever. Okay. Yeah, this is definitely going to get tricky. Okay, yeah. Okay, so step one, let's just go back here. It would appear that step one is going to be to just scale this up. And then the question is going to become, where is it going to fall once it comes? Okay, okay. So now we're going to have to do this the clunky way, which is to shrink it like this. Actually, no. Let's scale it up. Adjust the position. Something like that. Why the heck? Oh, I see. Golly. Okay. Here we go. So now I'm going to cut that. I'm going to go back here and paste it. Really? That's what it's going to be? Okay, okay, okay. You know, I guess that kind of works, actually. Yeah. Okay, okay. But he's a little out of shape for... Okay. So let's go back here. Mr. Ninja. Let's go over here to Mr. Ninja. And remember, we have this level here that is controlling Mr. Ninja's positioning. So the problem is we can't really go forward in time and see how the positioning might need to be adjusted, unfortunately. So we have to kind of do the same thing we did before, which is to I'm going to scale him up a little bit, and I'm actually going to rotate him a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to take this key, cut it, paste it here. That way we get him positioned properly. Okay. So he does have his cast shadow. That's okay. That's okay. Let's change one thing. Let's change his center to here. Let's change his position. Sorry. Position to there. Rotation there. Let's just massage it into place. Massage it into place. And then again, cut, paste. Okay, so we see we have some issues here, but that's kind of okay. That's actually quite okay. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go File, Save All. Okay, so I'm going to go into my Preferences, and I want to disable Use X Sheet as Animation Sheet. That way, if I start drawing here, it's not going to add new drawings. So that's actually exactly what I want. Because what I'm really trying to do is modify this drawing that's at the top. But I have to be able to see where he is relative to the background. So, alright. And with that, I'm just going to do it this way. I'm just going to chisel into this guy. And it is unfortunate. think I'm going to get rid of this cast shadow too. V. Let's just clean this up a little bit. Have a nice round shadow. Okay. So now we can take this and just kind of go like that. That'll work. Okay, so the problem that we have is, you can see, quite obvious. And by the way, I gotta check something. Yes, so we actually need to turn this multiply off. In this particular case, what we really need to do is just be really careful to make sure that the shadows are not overlapping the character. We just have to be more meticulous in this particular case. V key. Alright, and obviously we're going to have to make his canvas larger. Here, okay, I can live with that. That's probably not too horrible. Not too horrible. Yep. And the case could certainly be made that maybe what I should really be doing here is just creating a patch layer. But we'll see. Let's go back here. Hit the save button. And then we are going to add, yeah. Okay, here's what we're going to do, folks. It gets trickier and trickier. Let's go into the effects. And where is our background? Our background is probably column 1. Okay, so this is a background. So let's just rename this BK, whoops, GD. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add an effect that's going to be I would say let's try Bokeh and see what it looks like. No, we can't do Bokeh. That's not going to work. I just want this to be simple. So let's add a blur that's going to be a... Is it radial blur? Let's see. Okay, okay. I mean, yeah, okay. That's fine. The blur is going to be, let's make it 10. Okay, let's make it 100 and see what happens. Okay, okay. And let's set a key there. You can kind of see where this is going. What we're going to do then is when this comes back to here, right about there, this is going to be set to 0 and set a key there. Yep, there we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the laborious thing, which is to pre-render this. Am I going to pre-render it? Nope, I'm not going to pre-render it because you know what? Pre-rendering it is going to take forever. This one's going to take a long time to render, folks. This one's not going to render in 10 seconds like most of them do. So let's just make sure the timing and everything's right. So what's going to happen is when it gets over to here, the blur will be turned off. Okay, so obviously you can see what's going on. There's still a lot of problems with the Ninja. And if there's another lesson to be taken from this, folks, it is certainly that just a little bit of added complexity to the scene, like in this case with a camera move in 3D space, the amount of time involved in knocking out the scene goes up a lot. So we have a problem, which is this, and it's kind of a big problem. if I go and resize this canvas, resize this level, what's actually going to happen is this massive level that's on disk, every single image in this is going to be resized, which any other scene that references any images in this level is going to be destroyed. It's going to be corrupted. If I ever have to go back and tweak the scenes, they're going to be wrecked. Okay? Therefore, the only thing that makes sense to me is to clone this level so that it's totally standalone. So we'll go cells, clone, and we're going to rename the file, just apply to all. And now what we're going to do is we'll call this N2 as well. We'll delete this, and then we'll go back here and we will take N2 and pipe that through the plastic tool. So now everything's kind of sort of back to normal, except we have the same situation here with the shadows. Now, one could argue that a better solution would be to just ditch the shadow layer and redo it, but that's okay. We'll do the clone thing. Clone, yes, rewrite, apply to all, okay, delete poo, F3, there it is. That's supposed to be there. Okay. So now what you'll see is that OpenToonz, I think, has screwed me. Okay, how did OpenToonz screw me? Well, it cloned it ostensibly cloned the cells, but look. Okay, yeah. Geez, it's just OpenToonz is so weird this way. Okay, so now this clone level, it won't show me the icon. I have no idea why, but as you can see, there's only 3 drawings. Here should have a similar situation. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Now we can manipulate these to our heart's content, and there will be no harm done. Okay. So I'm going to go here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go level. I guess I need to select a cell, level, canvas size. And man, I need to really just get aggressive here. So I'm going to go 3000 by 2000. I don't know how big I need to make it, but it needs to be a lot bigger. Okay, that did the trick. Now we have the room on the canvas to fix up these drawings. So that's cool. Now remember, we turned off our preference to use the X sheet as an animation sheet. That means that if I start painting into this, it's not going to create new drawings. That's what I want. I want to be able to edit the drawings that are already there. Right? So now here, I'm just going to start going through here, and I guess the first thing I want to do is get the outlines. So let's zoom way in, sample that. Nope, it grabbed the skin. Let me see. I think it's probably this ink pencil. So we'll find out. Hitting the B key and hoping against hope. Is that the right color? See, we could find out by going like this. Yes, it is. I got the right one. Yay. Okay. So B key. And okay, that's not quite it, obviously. And so I'm gonna paint into this so that the old drawing isn't sort of corrupting what I'm trying to do here, because it's pushing me. I don't know if that makes sense, but seeing the old drawing there makes you tend to want to draw something that's consistent with what was there before, even though what was there before is kind of whacked. Okay. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Because that gives me the guide I need to fix it. Okay, so this is not going to work. I only want to erase lines, by the way, not lines and areas. Okay, erase, erase, erase. And now, probably I just want this color right here. Yes. Okay. So we're getting there. We're getting there. Here, okay, we have to resize this one as well. So I'm just going to click anywhere there. Canvas size, and let's just do exactly the same. We did 3000 by 2000, and yep. Okay. So now we should be able to grab the brush, and I'm going to go ahead and leave these fingers in shadow. I think that's fine. I think we'll go ahead and let this stretch up a little bit. As long as we're here, we're set up to do it. Why not, right? Okay, so this would actually be covering his hand to an extent. So let's just go ahead and do that. Okay, I think that works. That works, kind of, sort of. The only thing I'm kind of not so sure about would be this. Okay, well, let's see what we have here. Okay, so here, obviously, we have to, yeah, we just need to go back one frame to, okay, yeah. So what I was checking was really where should the spikes on his hair be. If he's standing up taller, then obviously the spikes need to be higher. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put shadow here. Let the arm fall mostly into shadow. And then if I remember correctly, his hand is kind of in a fist situation. But yeah, we'll go ahead and go like this. Okay. So I think this is going to work. Right, now I'm going to just use my eraser. Hello? Eraser, I said. Okay, so now for some reason, unbeknownst to me, the eraser doesn't work. Ah, I know why. Because I'm erasing lines only, and these are not lines, these are areas. So that's completely my fault. My snarky attitude. I got spanked justifiably. Okay. Now let's come back here. This one doesn't need touch up. Well, little bit. Let's go here, and then let's just That's fine. So this is the one that needs the fixin'. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of do it this way. I'm just going to use the paintbrush tool to sample these colors and just block it in. Just roughly block it in. Like so. Alright, grab this. And this should be... Did I grab the B key? I did. I didn't mean to do that. I want the V key for the paintbrush tool. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is just keep this as a sort of a unified shape. And then now we'll take the B key with the quote-unquote ink pencil. I'm going to zoom way in here and actually put the outlines on after the fact. Okay, so now that's not quite right, so let's go ahead and shrink this down so we can have a little better control. That's fine. Ink pencil, B key. Oh, come on. Ink pencil, B key. Hate it when I select a tool in OpenToonz and it says, no, I'm not going to really notice that you just selected that tool. I'm just going to sort of ignore you. OpenToonz does that surprisingly often. Okay. Okay. Shrink that down. We can just touch up. And I actually think I might be done. Let's find out. Okay, I'm not going to worry about rendering it properly because I don't want to wait for the filters to process. So let's see how it looks. Okay, obviously the shadow needs to extend, so what happened here? Why did my shadow layer disappear here? Unfortunately, friends, I'm a little bit flummoxed. Obviously, we're hitting the plastic tool. Column 10 is, oh, I see. Yeah, okay, arguably maybe this is what should be going on. Maybe it shouldn't be going through the plastic tool. Okay, yeah. My bad. It's always my bad. What am I talking about? Is it ever not my fault when things go haywire? Okay, so now hit the L key, save everything. One thing I do want to do is go back to Akari and notice that her outlines are way too bold and black. And it seems like lately when we add a little bit of saturation to the outlines, they seem to be a little bit nicer. So how light do we want to go? Seems like right, you know, maybe just south of halfway seems to be about right. So okay, that's it, folks. I need to render this, but my suspicion is it's going to take like forever. Let's see. Yeah, see, you can see this. You don't want to sit through this. This is going to take a while, and then it could be that I'll get it all rendered and find out that the you know, that the focal blur on the background isn't quite what I had in mind. And so how could you accelerate that? Well, what I could have done and maybe should have done, in fact, you know what? I'm going to do it. Stop. Here's what I'm going to do. Let's fix this. Let's fix this right now. Let's go into the effects and just get rid of this blur. Okay? Now I think we'll find, well, I don't want to do it that way, but let's go to the camera view. Let's see what happens when we go into render mode. Okay. I don't know if OpenToonz is taking a long time to render or if OpenToonz is breaking. I literally don't know what's going on here under the hood. But what we want to do is let's go hit Control R and see if that resulted in any improvement. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop here because it appears to me that OpenToonz is broken. Like, why it hasn't crashed, I don't know, because it appears to me that it just doesn't know what to do. I just don't know how to render this. It's too complicated. I don't know what's going on. But, you know, the normal preview's doing fine. But the properly rendered preview, now obviously we could complain that his hair isn't shaking. But yeah, as you can see, it's like I said before, everything takes a million times longer. Everything slows to a crawl just by adding that one order of magnitude of complexity to your shot. It really is threatens to take a lot of the fun out of the process. That's a fact. But okay, so I'm going to try this one last time before I officially sign off. I'm just going to hit the Control R to render my scene, render my shot. And what OpenToonz appears to be doing is precisely nothing. And so just to be nice, just to be gracious, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and kill OpenToonz. And, you know, this is really impressive. Now, OpenToonz doesn't even want to die. Nope, I can't, nope, you can't kill it. Well, look what's going on here. 99% CPU. So, it does appear that it saves successfully. So I'm going to end the task. I'm just going to kill it. Because if software is sufficiently broken that it's going to be resulting in this kind of silliness, then I don't want to be using it anyway. So let's just get rid of that. And that was fine. So now what we'll do is reopen it. What I was going to show you, by the way, is I was going to take this background image and just create two versions of it and then crossfade between them. No big deal. But anyway, 2 o'clock. Let's go to OpenToonz and just kind of see if we're going to get lucky. Or are we going to reopen it and find that a bunch of corruption's been introduced? We don't know. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's playing back in real time quite nicely. It appears that things kind of moved strangely right there. Let's do it from the camera point of view. Yeah, okay. Okay. Let's see what happens if we do preview. Okay, and the preview is going quickly too. So if that's the case, forget it. Darn, I wish I hadn't have deleted that filter. Now I have to reproduce the filter. Either that or I have to try to do some sort of crossfade in OpenToonz, which I really don't want to have to do either. So that's okay. What I did was a radial blur, and the blur was set at 100, and I set a key. And then what I did was, okay, actually I'm going to set it at I'm really sure what just happened was I set a key on frame 128, and now the only way I'm going to be able to get rid of that key, maybe if I turn it off, maybe that'll do the trick. Okay, I want to go here, and I want to set the blur to 100. Okay. Now what happens when we preview? Takes forever. Okay, okay. So, okay, I see what's going on. So 100 is punitively large. So I'm going to switch it to 20 and see how that looks. How long does it take to render? Hello. Hello. Anytime. Anytime. Takes forever. Let's put the blur at 0 or some small number. Let's do 5. See what happens. Okay. As far as I can tell, what this says to me is that the radial blur is punitively non-performant. So I'm going to move my schematic up out of the way and see. And now, even though I've deleted the blur, what rendered instantly a little bit ago now won't render at all. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. And it seems to be only on frame 1 that it simply will not render. Won't render. You're allowed to render anything except frame 1. Appears to be what's going on. So that's it, folks. With that, I quit. It's been a good session. A lot of lessons learned. A lot of lessons learned. But solving the transition from the blurred background to the non-blurred background, don't want to deal with it right now because it's going to be sticky. So that's it. As you know, guys, there will be more later.